Good morning. Welcome to Hack Shack Studios. RT Bear here. Over 35-year comic book veteran working for Marvel, DC characters such as Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, who else? X-Men, Fantastic Four. I got a good run on Fantastic Four. Very, very proud of that run, by the way. I think I have maybe 15 years logged in on the X-Men books, various X-Men books. I think I worked on every one of them at some point, but the longest runs I have are on Uncanny and I guess Uncanny and just X-Men. And I don't know if Ultimate X-Men counts as an X book, but to me it does. We have people, man. StreamYards must be working because you guys got in fast and loud. So we got Linkovich. Good morning. We have Darren. Good morning. What is up? I'm here, lonely, but here. That's kind of sad. Hey, Leroy, man, I see you on everybody's stream these days. You're quite the celebrity. So welcome to Comicsgate. We gotta get you in, maybe a pontificators or something, and get your point of view. Kevin, hey, what's up, Kevin? I think your package went out yesterday. Your Chrono Mechanics package, with all your artwork and extra goodies. So keep an eye on that. So how are you? What is this? Past Master Dan. Howdy. Tyler Preston says, hello. Woohoo. Yeah, woohoo. This is a good day, actually. I got to try to figure out how to do all this. I think I have an hour and a half. My days are so scheduled now with all the selling of the house and stuff like that. So I have like windows of opportunity to do what I want to do, which is usually I'll get to draw a layout. I'll get to work on story for black and white, or I get to hang out with you guys. So today it's hang out with you guys. So there's Pixel Trader. What's up, my friend? I'd like to hang out with you before we leave. I think we're going to leave to Texas probably, I'm thinking mid-December, most likely. I have a lady coming over today, and we're going to go over some of the escrow papers. I cannot believe how many different contracts and agreements and shit I've signed. When we bought this house 28 years ago, there was just one. It was a long contract, but there was one contract. And then there was, I think, 2 or 3 like addendums or clauses, or what do they call those? Just side like acknowledgments, there's a dump site, 20 miles away. There's an airport close by, just stuff that you have to sign off on to live in the area, but nothing like, God, I cannot believe it, man. The amount of paperwork to sell a house in California these days is absurd. And we do have our house in Texas picked out. We found a good one, a great price. We were looking at houses that were way more expensive, but we found this house and it's really, really reasonable. And this was Pamela's idea. We should get that one, and then we could invest some of that extra money back into our crowdfunding campaigns, such as Black and White and Chrono Mechanics. Yeah, disclosures, that's what they call them, disclosures. Exactly. So, hey, Victor Thomas is in. Wait, what is this? What? I thought porn starts in the home. What the hell? That's how porn starts. Wait a minute. Did I miss something? It's too early to get into this. I'm not getting into this porn stuff. Where was I? I wanted to share. I don't share enough campaigns, and I wanted to share this one real quick and let you guys in on it. A great guy. I think that he hasn't been getting as much recognition or attention. I think it's because he's Brazilian, and there might be a language gap there. Although every time I talk to Stefani Renee, we always his English is typed perfectly. So I'm not really sure what is going on there. But this is Thomas Moria, Wizard for Hire. And he is the ultimate. This is the ultimate urban fantasy, and he's only got 14 days left. He's got 338 backers, which is pretty good. He's at 13K, a little over 13K. But we really need to get this thing, these numbers up. You guys, this is a gorgeous book. I should have put the link in the description. If I don't know if Pixel Trader has a wrench, but if there's anybody that has a wrench in the chat, if they could post a link to Thomas Moria. Is that Moria? Moria. And it's a 48-page graphic novel. It looks amazing. So yeah, you guys come by, please check it out. Stefani Renee is a really cool guy. He's working with me on black and white right now. He's adding his terrific colors to some of my artwork, which is, I wish I could show you guys. It looks amazing. He also, God, like 15 years ago, worked with me on a chrono mechanics project. And he put some color work over over my pencils and inks then as well. So I think it's neat. Like it feels like it's all coming full circle here for Stefani and myself and Comicsgate. He is Comicsgate full on, and I think he's getting his ass handed to him on Twitter, which all of us eventually do, just for actually having a different point of view than the mainstream comics industry. So yeah, look at this stuff. It's absolutely amazing. So I didn't want to spend too much time because I'm very low on time today. So I have a story, an epic story that I want to tell you about my days at DC Comics. So yeah, you guys go check this out, please. If you like what you see, back it. Look at that monster. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Look, he could have just published it as a line art book, just black and white, and it would have looked terrific. So yeah, he's a great guy. He's Comicsgate. He kicks ass, and I think he's doing work with Ethan, so he's doing work with me as well. And just a very talented individual, and kind of new, I think, at the crowdfund thing. So that's why I wanted to speak out kind of on his behalf and let you guys know that there's a terrific book out there that I think you guys will really enjoy. I think you'll enjoy it. So I'm going to come back to my live stream, come back to you guys. And oh, thank you, Pixel. Here we go. This is the link to the Wizard for Hire. Thank you, Pixel, very, very much there. We've been hyping it everywhere. Good. Yeah, it's a great book. And personally, I think it should be doing a little bit better. Patrick Parnell. Is Patrick in the chat? Is Patrick in the hizzy? As the young kids say these days. Okay. Oh my gosh, I wanna shout out for Chrono. Maybe I'll wait for the end, but also, you guys, just real quick, Chrono Mechanics is still in demand, and the book has been completely fulfilled. Kevin, he's the last of all the Chrono Mechanics stuff. So any orders for Chrono Mechanics that we get right now, they will go out within the week. So you guys will get your Chrono book ASAP. So go buy the Chrono. It is in the description. So go buy click the description, go buy, check out the link, check out the site, I should say, and pick up a Chrono Mechanics book. We're getting some reviews in, and they're all really, really favorable. And you guys are telling me it was worth the wait, that the book looks terrific. Like, it printed up really good. And I'm so happy. You guys, you have no idea how many sleepless nights I had over making that decision, because we had, what was it, like forget, 1,700 books or something like that we had of chrono mechanics that was printed not so good. And I was like, we have these books, we could fulfill this campaign right now. But I just couldn't do it because the books just were not up to snuff. So the new printing looks terrific. I believe you guys will love this story. It's a lot of fun. It's way outside the box. And like I said, if I have a little bit of time, I will come back to that, and I'll give you a little bit more of a push there, or a push. Hey, Philip Steele, what's up, my friend? God, I can't wait to move to Texas and hang out with you and your lovely wife. We'll do dinners. We'll hang out. We'll barbecue. We'll hang out at each other's pool. I think you just put in a pool, actually. How did I miss the T-Bear boots on the Texas ground tour? I haven't gone yet. We're actually gonna put an offer in on this house. It's going to be contingent on selling this house. So there's a couple little legal loopholes that if we don't like the house when we get down there, that we can pull out of the deal. But we'll just have to pay for a percentage of how many days the house was off the market to the seller. So that's no problem. I don't mind paying somebody for taking their house off the market to help us out. So that's going to be cool. We are looking forward to that. But we have an appraiser that needs to come out. That's the last thing we have is the appraiser. Oh my gosh, the gardeners. This is horrible timing. I knew this was bad timing, but I need to talk to you guys. I want to hang out. I miss you guys. So please bear with us with the sound. So we got Zach. He's he's a future Texan friend. We're going to hang out face to face. I think Zach and I are a little closer together. We're going to be in, if the house still comes through, we're going to be in, is it Sterling Ridge? Sterling Ridge in the Woodlands. So there's these communities that are in the Woodlands. I think there's 9 of them, and Sterling Ridge is one of them. I think it's one of the lower ones. So I don't know if that's closer to Spring. I think Zach's in Spring, Texas. So it's all, I don't think the area is that big. At least that area isn't that big. All right. So, Pedro's in the house. Hell, Art, good to catch up stream while working. How's everything going? Everything's going good, my friend. So it is almost 10. So I have an hour. Oh, we're doing good. I have an hour. So my escrow person isn't coming over till 11. So hold on for a sec. The season or the temperature's changing, so my allergies. So yeah. So DC in the day. God, how many years ago was this? Let me adjust my camera. I just realized my camera's being a little funky. So if I move, it's gonna bop in and out of focus. Sorry about that, you guys. So that should be it. All right. Oh, now it's all washed out. Hold on. What the Sam hell is going on here? I apologize again. I think if I hit the default, there we go. Okay. So there's my camera. There, I'm not all washed out now. North Texas isn't bad. Shout out to the Woodlands. Yeah, that area is really, really nice. Zach says we're about 20 minutes away. That's not bad. And I don't think like that area is it's too busy. So I don't think there's a lot of traffic. I think when you get closer to Houston, you get into the traffic. But I think where Zach and I are, I don't think there's a lot of traffic. It's mostly residential. There's not a lot of businesses. So really the only people that are traveling through there are people that live there. So, Pixel says he lived in Dallas for a few years. Texas is definitely an option for where we're looking as well. Oh, cool, man. We're going to have some more Texas friends. That'll be awesome, man. Yeah. Oh my gosh. We talked to our boots on the ground in Texas, the guy that's helping us with the house, and he was talking about Texas tax laws. Holy crap, man. California likes to think they're progressive. They're not progressive at all, man. In Texas, you can hire a lawyer. There's firms that are set up that you can contest your taxes if they go up. So you know how like your property tax could go up annually or whatever. You can actually go and you can argue it, and they force them to justify why they're raising your taxes. So taxation without representation, you force them to explain why. And if the judge deems it on your behalf, then your taxes will stay at that rate that they were. So you can actually go and contest it. And I think those firms, the lawyer organizations that rep you, they just take a percentage. So it's not even cash out of your pocket. Like we couldn't even get like a lawyer to handle, like Amanda had a staple, like in school, she had a staple in her burrito, like one of those big industrial ones that they pack things with. And she didn't have a picture of it. She just had like eyewitnesses and stuff like that, and even the lunch lady. And we couldn't get an attorney unless we were going to pay them out of our pocket. So that's really, really cool. And also, like if you're retirement age, which I'm not quite, but my wife is, you can get lower rates too for your taxes. So already this house is, you guys, I'm probably boring you, but this house that we're looking at is way under what our taxes are here already. Even with insurance for the house, it's cheaper than the taxes here. And our taxes we've been here at this house for 28 years, so it's kind of locked in. But if we bought a new house in California, like from here on out, like there's no way these taxes would even be compatible. Like the taxes in California on a new house would be outrageous compared to even a new house in Texas. I'm telling you, man, other than the humidity, and we're making sure that we're not in floodplains and things like that, because there's a lot of houses that are gorgeous. I don't know why, but there's mansions built in floodplains, and I don't understand why they do that. So, because there's a lot of houses that we fell in love with, but they're just kind of in floodplains, so it's not good. I'll probably do a whole show on the house and all that stuff when we get closer to it. But yeah, DC Comics. Let me think. Okay, so this was 90s. I know that for sure. This was before cable, before I started working on cable, and so I have a good friend. Well, he's still a good friend, Jonathan Peterson. He actually helped out on Black and White. He was a big help on Black and White. So I met Jonathan when I first started at DC Comics, and he was working as an assistant to an assistant or something like that. He had like a closet for an office. I remember the door barely opened, and it hit the wall, and then his desk was just right as the door opened. Like you couldn't even fit a chair in there. I think he had to kind of climb over the desk to get on the other side of it because it barely fit in there. And we just hit it off. Jonathan Peterson's a great guy. He ended up taking over. Well, he was Mike Carlin's assistant on Superman, and he ran his own books. I think he edited Checkmate and a few other books I can't remember right now. But after his run on Superman with Carlin, he got the Teen Titans franchise. So he was editor on the Teen Titans. He also, just as a little aside, he became editor-in-chief of Wildstorm. And I set that up because Jonathan was Connecticut. He lives in on the East Coast. So he would commute into, DC Comics. That, it used to be in New York City. So so I remember he came to visit me, and we took a trip down to San Diego, and I introduced him to Jim Lee and everything like that. And those guys hit it off. And I think Jim needed an editor-in-chief. And so Jonathan was hired. It was pretty cool, man. So all the favors Jonathan did for me, I feel like I actually, repaid him a little bit that way. And a brilliant guy, just a brilliant guy, just amazing ideas, just quick as all get out. And so I think I was inking Jim Lee on X-Men. I was doing finishes on Jim Lee on X-Men. So Jonathan just asked me, he goes, we're going to have a Teen Titans Summit. We're going to have a Teen Titans Summit. I want you to hang out. Just hang out with the guys and see how you feel. Because he knew that I was on the X-Men. And at that time, I think it was Tom Grummett. They had, who else was it? Louise Simonson, Marv Wolfman, Lynn Wein, bunch of A-listers. I forget who else, but yeah. So the summit was at Universal Studios, the Universal Sheraton. So we actually got to go to Universal Studios and everything, and we got a hotel at the Sheraton. It was awesome, just hanging out with everybody. And Tom Grummett's awesome. Oh, Carrie Gamble was there. I can't remember who else, but there was a lot of guys there. And so I just sat in, and it was funny because I was actually, my deadlines are always crazy. So I was inking Jim Lee at the summit, like as we were talking. So I was actually working at the round table discussion. And so, Kevin McGuire was there too. Kevin and I, man, good, just get along with Kevin. He's a good guy. And Kevin and Jonathan ended up working on a book together. I think they published it through Wildstorm. It was called Strike Back. And Kevin's a good guy. I hung out with him a lot socially. He would come from New York and hang out at my townhouse, and we would just hang out. I think he really liked LA and Hollywood. So yeah, so that's kind of the backstory with Jonathan and kind of my introduction to the Titans. I always loved the Titans. Since I was a kid, I actually liked the Teen Titans more so than the X-Men. So I think it was kind of funny that there was this X-Men Teen Titans thing happening. And if you guys remember, it was probably early mid-90s. The Teen Titans with Tom Grummett, Alvey inking, and I can't remember who was writing. It was probably Marv Wolfman. The sales were going up. Like the Titans was actually making a mark, and it was. I always thought it was the natural competitor to X-Men. I always thought DC kind of after the George Perez, Marv Wolfman run, they kind of tried to keep it going, but they kind of failed at it. I thought that book should have been the natural competitor, and it should have done better. So anyway, so after that summit, I was like, what would you want me to do? Like, Tom's doing one of the X books. What was it? Carrie Gamble's doing one, and Kevin McGuire's doing one. Like, where would I fit in? And so Jonathan said, Nightwing. And I said, Nightwing? He said, yeah, we want to shake it up. We want to do some new stuff with Nightwing. Because he was still in the Disco Elvis costume, which I called it Disco Elvis, with the like the baby blue kind of collar, and like the George Perez costume, which it worked at the time, but it wasn't really moving into the 90s very well. And so he said, you could do whatever you want. He said, we'll do a Nightwing miniseries. And I was like, holy shit, because I love the Batman franchise. I love the Batman family. I love all that stuff. So I go, well, if I'm doing Nightwing, what can I do? He goes, anything you want. And I said, could I bring Batman in? And he said, sure. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And he said, I want you, because he knew that I wrote. I had nothing published at that time, but I had pitched a Superman idea to Mike Carlin, and Jonathan was there in the office. And the idea was, I don't know if you guys remember Old Adventures of Superman. There was like a Fantastic Four story arc that Dan Jurgens had written, and all of them died tragically because of the gamma rays or whatever it was. But the Mr. Fantastic character survived, and I think he became the cyborg Superman character. So I had an idea for that character. I can't remember the Reed Richards character's name, but my idea was to turn him into a supervillain for Superman, and that supervillain would be modeled after, oh my gosh, Doctor Doom. So he'd be Doctor Doom. So DC doesn't have a Doctor Doom type character, so this guy would be that, and I had written it up. I don't remember the details of it, but I wrote it up as a pitch to Mike. Well, I pitched it verbally, and then he said, I love it. And he said, write it up as a pitch. And I did. And I was bringing a writer, a partner of mine in, and Mike okayed it. He okayed the story, and he had some notes. And so I brought those notes to my writer friend, and this guy was a pretentious piece of crap, man. He was like, I will not rewrite. I will not take notes. I go, that's part of the process, man. They own the character. This is part of the process. And he goes, I won't do it. And so I kind of tried to work it out myself. And I just started dating Pamela at the time, but I'm not really a writer. I have pretty bad dyslexia, so it's real hard for me to physically write things down. And so I kind of brought her help in, a little bit, and we took the notes into consideration and sent it. And that was also like Pamela and I's first kind of writing foray. And it just fell apart because I didn't have the heart, and I didn't really think I could pull it off myself. So it kind of just fizzled out. But I got the writing bug. And I did a couple other pitches to DC as well. So, and also I wrote a story with Walter Simonson, a Fantastic Four story, an annual, and I laid out the whole story for him, and pitched it to him, and he used the idea, and he never gave me. He gave me writing credits. He gave me story idea credit in the book, and I think his credit was. Story credit with no pay to Art T. Bear, and it was a Fantastic Four annual, I believe. And I know I'm kind of all over the place, but I like telling stories like this because I give you kind of like historic context. And so then I started getting a little bit of confidence. I'm like, well, with Walter and all this other stuff with the writing, and so. So I asked Pamela, she was like full on, like we were living in sin together in Redondo Beach. We had a townhome and stuff like that. And so I asked her, and I'm still working on the X-Men books with Jim. And so I asked her if she would want to be involved. And she already knew John, like we hung out socially. So I think she was at the summit too. She ended up hanging out at the summit, the Teen Titans Summit. So I came up with an idea. Pamela and I executed in a pitch. We sent it to Jonathan, and he loved it. He liked the idea. And I'm going to give you the pitch. I'm going to give you the story idea. So I'm not just going to give you all this setup. And it's a great story. I think it's a great story. So anyway, he greenlit it, and we started moving forward on it. And so one of the ideas, or one of the things we pitched was Batman would be in it. Some of the Justice League characters would be in it. We would get to use Starfire in it, and possibly some of the other Titans characters. I don't think they're in it, but Starfire is. Oh, there you go. Wizard came up with it. Yeah, it's Hank Henshaw or Hanshaw. Yeah, he was the Doctor Doom character, and so Lex Luthor kind of is, but but kind of not. Stop. How dare you? This is my show, Tyler. So anyway, so I got that, and then there was one other. Oh, they were Marv was talking about getting Nightwing and Starfire married. Like there was going to be a wedding that was planned, and so I asked if we could do the engagement in this miniseries. So John said, I like the idea. He said, why don't you run it by Marv? And it was cool, man. In the day, we used to just do stuff. We had a Christmas party at the townhouse, and we invited Marv Wolfman and his wife over, and they came. They came to the Christmas party at our townhome. Those days were awesome, man. We just hung out with everybody. And so I think Marv was working at Disney. They were trying to get Disney comics, like a superhero line of comics. So Marv had, I think Lynn Wein did too. They had offices on the Disney lot, the old Disney lot, the animation lot. And so I drove down there, we hung out for lunch, and I pitched him the idea. And I was so nervous. You know, I'm talking to the guy that created Nightwing or co-created Nightwing. And I'm like pitching this idea. And he's like, I like it. Go for it. So I was like, holy crap, man. Marv Wolfman just signed off on a guy that's never really written anything before to do the engagement of Nightwing and Starfire. So I was like, wow, this is big. So I was on cloud nine. I was doing concept drawings. I had an idea that Nightwing, you know, so he could hang out with Starfire, he would ride like this little skiff. It wasn't like a bike, like a motorbike. It was, I guess it was kind of like, and it's probably cliche now, but kind of like one of those Sea-Doos, but it was a lot smaller. And then there was another idea that he kind of had like a Mandalorian backpack, but it was like he could pull it off, and it had handles on it, but it was like shaped like his back, and had handles on it, and it would tow him, so he could fly kind of like this with it in front of him. And so, you know, I had ideas like that, and then I had ideas like that. One of the story points was that he was putting cameras all throughout the city. This is before cameras were everywhere, and I thought like you never get to see how they find these ideas. So the idea was that there's cameras all over the city so that they could keep track and monitor, you know, things that were going on. So there was that. And then another thing that Jonathan said, he said, we want a redesign of Nightwing. So we're going to change. And he said, I would like that to be in the miniseries. And so I was like, oh my gosh. He goes, I asked Tom Grummett to do a design, and I'm asking you to do a design. So Jonathan Peterson, who was the editor, gave, I assume he gave Tom some guidelines too of like what he wanted. So like just visual guidelines. And so Tom came up with the design, and I came up with the design. And this is, let me see if this was the design. And so Tom and I came up with almost identical designs. I think his Nightwing had like a ponytail, and there's some other little differences, but this was my Nightwing version. And so you can see it's still very like X-Men like style, like the West Coast style that I was working in at the time. And so let me see what date this is. There's only two pieces of artwork. This is 92. So this is 92. DC sent this. This is like a high, I think this is a printed version, black and white line art of the poster. This was used as a retail poster. So DC was really getting behind this. There was going to be a trading card set, like a Nightwing Teen Titans trading card set. And there was going to be the retail poster, which did come out. I have a color version of it here. So this is actually the original colors. So in the day, this was pre-computer. So if you wanted to do any grads like in color and stuff like that, you had to do them with airbrush and with physical medium. So this is all painted, like hand painted. And this is Steve Ole Optics. So that's what Steve was doing before he changed the landscape with the computer coloring. So Ole Optics, Steve Olaf and Ole Optics were also the ones that kind of pioneered the whole computer revolution that happened in comic books. Not a lot of people know that. So Steve and I, we went way back. So Steve did the colors on that, came out awesome, and the retail posters sold like crazy. I still have people to this day asking, they're throwing like hundreds of dollars at me for one of those posters. I think I have like 5 or 6 of them, and I haven't sold any of them. A lot of people that start over at DC Comics start work over there. I had, like, when they moved to Burbank, I think I had 2 or 3 different like editors and people that worked in the art department and stuff get a hold of me and ask me, like, do you still have any of those Nightwing posters? I'd like to buy one. And then one of them was in production, and he said, do I have your permission? I'd like to put this back in production. I'd like to print these up again. And nothing ever happened with that. But I thought that was really cool. So I think Wizard did an article on it as well. The Nightwing miniseries I was working on. So it was getting buzz, like Titan's Tower, which is the fanzine. They were doing articles on it. Like it was getting out of control, like as far as promotions and stuff like that. So I was really, really nervous, and I was still working on the X-Men stuff. And if you guys think about this is before Image Comics. So this is before Cable, before I started working on Cable. And so as I was working on this Titans thing, Bob Harris offered Cable to me. So I had this Teen Titans story that DC was being very, very like, do anything you want with. And then I had Cable on the table. I knew Cable was a no-brainer. Like I knew that thing was going to sell gangbusters, which it did. And I knew that the Teen Titans was a little iffier of a proposition, but DC was letting me do creatively pretty much whatever I wanted to do. And they were just being so nice to me. And I really love, when I say I love Jonathan Peterson. So not in a gay way. And so I was drawn. I was like, what the hell am I going to do? And so I actually did. Oh, thank you, Bob. Thank you so much. Yes, please. So I was really torn, but just to be honest, I was going to do the Teen Titans over Cable. Hands down. It's where my heart was. It's where my passion was. And I love to tell stories. And so DC was going to let me do it in such a big way. I was like, I got to take advantage of this opportunity. So I was going to pencil, ink, and write. And I was going to get to write it with Pamela, as well. So that was another plus. So, so I started moving forward on it. And so the idea, the basic plot was that there was an alien race that came down, and they were called like the Reprogrammers or something like that. And I forget their story arc, but they were up to some kind of shenanigans. And I think they had some kind of past with Starfire. I created the past. And so they kidnapped Starfire. So the setup is, Nightwing's doing all, like the Nightwing type stuff. He's hanging out with Starfire. They're putting the cameras all around. He's got his little skiff and he's flying around with her in the city. They're having like a great time. It's like the best time for these two. And so he's just about to propose to her. And that's when she gets kidnapped. And so she gets taken away. So then basically the story is about, one, it's kind of a coming of age for Nightwing. So that's one of the ideas, was that I never thought that Nightwing and Batman ever really had that moment. I remember when I was a kid, there was like Dick Grayson goes off to college or something like that. And then there was the big, Robin becomes Nightwing moment. So there have been these moments, but I don't ever feel like it was done with Batman. So then there was going to be kind of this coming of age idea, even though he's a little older, but that was kind of the idea. And then there was this whole, like, he had to get Nightwing back. So it's kind of like the damsel in distress, even though it's Starfire, and she's hardly, without any kind of abilities to take care of herself. But it was so overwhelming. This invasion was so overwhelming. So anyway, Nightwing, like most of the beginning of the story, he's trying to find her. So he's doing detective work and he's trying to find her. And he's looking for her, and he's losing sleep. He's just worried sick. He can't find her. He's losing objectivity. He's just not sleeping. He's getting like just worn out. And so then Batman intercedes, and so he comes down and he has like this kind of alley scene with Nightwing. And so he's like, you're losing objectivity. You're doing sloppy detective work, all this stuff. He goes, you need to pull away from this. You need to get some sleep. You need to, clear your mind. And Dick is like, no. He goes, I'm not going to sleep till I get her back. So he's just obsessed. He's actually just losing everything. Like his face is all grown out. He hasn't shaved. He smells horribly. He's the only thing is just that one objective is to get Starfire back. And so then Bruce is like, no, you're going to do this. And he's like, listen, you're not in charge of me anymore. This is how I'm going to play it. And so I also thought, like, Batman and Nightwing never really had a physical fight up to that point that I knew of. And I ran it by everybody and they said no. And so I kind of wanted to do the epic battle between Nightwing and Batman. Like, there's one thing that's in comics is like when heroes meet for the first time, they fight, because there's this colossal misunderstanding. So it really is kind of like it's built into the mythology that when heroes have misunderstandings, they will fight, even though they're on the same side of the law, they will fight at times. And so with Nightwing being so crazed out of his mind, I thought it would be a good way to have those two get into a fight. So Nightwing starts it. He starts a fight, a physical fight with Bruce Wayne. And so, Batman at first is just kind of blocking stuff like that. And he's still trying to convince him. He's like, listen, buddy, you gotta get some objectivity. You need sleep. You're missing things. Your detective work is sloppy. And he's like, it's not for you to say anymore. You're not in charge of me. He's just like doing like the father-son thing, but like in a cool way. And so I wanted to do also like this as like 10 pages, like half of the book worth of fight at least, so we could really get into the fight. So it wasn't like just a quick like 2 or 3 pages. This was going to be an epic fight. And so the epic fight does happen, boom, boom, boom. And what I wanted to do in the fight is also to show that Nightwing is kind of a worthy successor to Batman, which has later been played up. But this is also like 92. Was it 92 that I saw that poster? So this is still pretty early on. And so, yeah, they get into it. And so, Bruce is obviously the clearer headed of the two. So Nightwing is just doing things he never would have done. Like he's taking full on punches. He's using weapons against Batman. Like it's like knockdown, drag out, like fight. Like it's epic. They're doing everything in their power. Well, Nightwing is to shut Batman down. And so then what I wanted to do is I wanted to show that the fight was fairly even, like it was fairly tit for tat, but I wasn't going to telegraph it and I wasn't going to give a scorecard at the end of the battle. So what I wanted to do is to do like these moments where one gets the better of the other. And then in my mind, I was going to make it like 50-50. Like in my mind, it was going to be a draw. like there was no clear winner and there was no clear loser. But what I thought would be fun is for the reader to try to like debate, like, oh, who won the fight? You know, did Batman win the fight? Did Nightwing? You know, this was a pretty badass even fight. And so then Batman, being the better or the more clear-headed of the two, he just, and I always liked this idea. They used it a lot, I think, in the Batman TV show. But like if you had gas that could actually like knock somebody out quick enough, you could use it. And even in a fight like with Nightwing, even if it didn't put him down quickly, eventually it would. So then Batman just does a gas, like a knockout gas, and he knocks out Nightwing. And so then he just throws him over his shoulder. And he said, you know what, Dick, you always were grumpy when you didn't get enough sleep. And then he just slumps him over in the Batmobile, and then they take off. And so then smash cut next morning, and you see Nightwing wake up in a hotel room, and he wakes up. He's like, "What the hell?" So the knockout gas helped him sleep through the night. You know, Batman physically stopped the fight, but he also gave this guy much needed rest. And so then he wakes up and he sees a file folder next to the bed, and Batman not only just cleaned this kid's clock and gave him what he needed, you know, kind of like a spanking, you know what I mean? Like it was kind of like, you know, the kid's acting out, so he had to, you know, he had to put him in his place, but he helped out too. So all the sloppy detective work that he was accusing him of, he did the right detective work. So he had his back through this whole thing, even though Nightwing didn't know it. So I thought it was like a nice kind of little like fatherly, like I got your back here, brother. You know, I know you love this woman, and you know I like her too, so I'm going to help you. And he does. And so from then on, like Bruce, I mean Dick is like straight, like he's like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to, you know, figure this out. And so he's like by the book, you know, kind of thing. So there's a lot of things that happen in between, so I don't want to get into, you know, all the details, but you know, he finally gets to, you know, Nightwing gets to the alien spacecraft, because it's kind of an alien takeover story. I don't remember too much about the villains other than they had this thing. I think they were kind of reprogrammers, and they could reprogram your brain or some kind of thing like that. And they had this thing, like they were kind of like Predator, where they had like heats, like sensors, like they could see stuff that other people couldn't. And I forget, I called it Reprogrammer Vision, and I got the idea from like old High Life magazines, where like you could put like the color over your eyes, like they're like a piece of like transparent plastic, and you could put it over your eyes, and then you could see patterns, or you could see words hidden in artwork. So you could see things that were hidden because the way it was printed. And I pitched that to DC, and they liked it. So one of the things was that, I forget how it worked with the story, but you could put this little thing over your eyes, and you could see like clues or like things that or you could see the way the reprogrammer saw or something. I can't remember, but it was very story specific, and it worked. Like I said, this was 92, so I'm trying to remember all of this stuff. But I thought it would be fun, you know, and it'd be a fun printing kind of idea. And God, this is all pre-computers, you guys. So this was high tech at the time. Oh, it was the red blue glasses. Is that what it was? Kind of like, I guess, the like 3D glasses of old, you know, kind of idea. And so Philip says, "Oh my God, Highlight magazines. That's a telltale age." Yeah, I'm old. Okay, I'm old. I'm retirement age. So yeah. So then that was an aside. So then Dick is now in the alien spacecraft, and he gets Starfire out, and so they're both now fighting their way out of the ship. But they're clearly overwhelmed. Like somehow Nightwing's able to just get in, like stealthily, and get her out. But there's obviously going to be repercussions or ramifications. So there's like a small, like Justice League intervention. They come in and they help Nightwing, and so then Nightwing, Starfire, with the help of a few of the Justice League characters, they take down the enemy, because it was just too big for even the Titans to do. And I can't remember what I did with the Titans. I know that some of the characters were in there, but I can't remember what I did with them and why that they weren't in the finale, or maybe they were. Maybe they were fighting alongside the Justice League. But anyways, there's going to be a fairly epic battle at the end. Yeah, they were there. They were there. And so then when the ship crashes and Nightwing and Starfire come out of the ship, there's kind of this this moment where, because Nightwing kicked so much ass and he kind of worked independently, it was kind of like the DC universe acknowledged his place as a badass, like not just as like a sidekick. So it's kind of like I don't remember exactly how it was, but like kind of like where there's a row of heroes, and so then Nightwing's all beat up and he's got Starfire, and they're walking out of there, all jacked up, and so those guys are all like acknowledging like how badass Nightwing is and what he accomplished, which was against all odds kind of thing. And so that was kind of like his coming of age story, like not only with Batman but in the DC universe, like taking his rightful place as like worthy of all the Justice League characters and all that other stuff. And since then they've really made the parallel that the Teen Titans had grown up and that they were very much their own. I don't even think they call them the Teen Titans. I think they just call them the Titans. So this was kind of the ideas that were happening at the time that led up to, I think, where eventually they were just the Titans, and they were very much just characters like any other characters. They weren't like the understudies of these heroes anymore. They were their own characters, their own heroes. And so that's kind of the idea that came out of it. And I never executed any panel pages, but I do have a lot of sketches and drawings. And so one of the things that I promise you guys, when I get to Texas and I'm able to go through all of the T-Bear Vault stuff, I'm not kidding, I have boxes of Xeroxes of not only my work, but I got Jim Lee pencils, Mike Mignola pencils. I got all kinds of stuff that I'll show in a live stream. Also, I want to set up the camera better so I can show them off, so I'm not just holding it up like this, so I can lay them flat and you can see them, better. And so it's going to take a little work to do that show, but I'm going to do it. It probably will be several shows because there's hours worth of artwork there. But that was the Teen Titans story that I got the green light to do. And I'm not sure if the Titans Tower is up anymore, or I think they got a hold of me probably 5 or 6 years ago. And I think I did an interview about this with them, but I think they're still online. I think it's called Titans Tower. And I think that they went from fanzine to actually like an online blog or something like that. So you guys might want to look them up, because I think they have all this stuff documented, and their recall is probably better than mine, to be honest. And so, like I said, like Wizard did an article. I did some promotional artwork, I think, of Nightwing and Starfire. I got to redesign Nightwing or Starfire as well. So I have a redesign of Starfire and Nightwing, and I think that was published in a Wizard magazine, if I'm not mistaken. So that might be out in public there. Like I said, when I get those Xeroxes and stuff, I'll show those off. And then, like I said, there's this piece of artwork that was the retail poster. And then there was another piece of artwork that I did that I think was a cover actually, and they made it into a pinup because DC paid me for it. So I think it was a pinup in one of the Titans books. It was a Nightwing with the new costume and everything. So I got paid for the redesign of the costume and everything. And I think they went with Tom Grummett's, but they're so similar, like you can't even really tell. I think it's really funny that that's how it came about. But I think it's probably because Jonathan had a pretty good idea of what it was to look like. That's why we probably came up with real similar ideas. And to finish the story, the reason it never happened was Marvel didn't want me to leave. They didn't want me to leave. And also, like, Image Comics was kind of, God, I gotta figure this out. I'm not sure how everything crossed over, but there was a lot of things happening at the same time. So, there was the Jim Lee X-Men stuff. There was the Cable stuff that was crossing, like slowly crossing over as far as time. And then there was talk of Image Comics. I think early talk of Image Comics. And Jim was really pretty slick as far as recruiting for Image. We got signed to a promoter, and he was doing this X-Men tour. And so I think Jim and I did most of the tour. I think sometimes Wills would go, and I don't think Scott Williams did a lot of. I don't think he liked comic conventions or something. He didn't really do much, like a lot of the shows and stuff. But we would go out, and we go all over the country, and somehow I think Jim would make sure like Larry Stroman was invited and Mark Silvestri and like different X-Men people were part of the tour. And what we did later, like after, is we hung out socially, and there was rumblings of Image Comics. You know what I mean? There was talk, early on. So even though there weren't a lot of guys that were original like Image or Marvel defectors, as we were known, there was conversation with, like Larry and Mark ended up becoming one of the guys. But yeah, there was that. And so I'm trying to think what else was happening at the time. I think there was a Mike Mignola Gambit series that I was supposed to ink over Mike. I still wish that would have happened. One, I love Mike's work. Mike's a fun guy to hang out with. And also, it would have been the easiest paycheck I ever made, because I would just be outlining. I remember talking to Scott Williams about this, and Scott was like, he's like, you got to do the job. He goes, it's like printing money. It's like just outlining black shapes. It'd be the easiest job you ever took. I go, yeah. And also it's an opportunity to work with Mike Mignola, which, is pretty cool. Oh, wait, what is this? Comic Book Bob says, is this the Starfire redesign? Let me see. Let me see if it is. How do I do this? Wait, stop. Okay, there we go. How do I do this? Let me see. I can't type that in. Holy crap, how do I do this? Let me see if I can do it this way. Nah, I can't. Well, anyways, you guys, I'm just going to type this in. I can't, damn it. I can't see it and type it in at the same time. But I imagine it is, Comics Art Fan usually is right on top of that stuff. So you guys should go check it out. I can't find the image right now. And I don't want to stop the show. I have 15 minutes left. I have 15 minutes to wrap it up. Okay, so I give you, once again, historical context. Go off on a tangent. So those were all the things that were happening in my life at that time. You talk about having just a bunch of great options. Like every one of those ideas or those jobs is career changing. Nightwing miniseries, Cable, a series Gambit, Image Comics, like all of those things, happening at the same time. And I was still inking X-Men, as well. And whatever else I was doing, I was probably doing something else at the time. So then what happened, sadly, is I don't think Jonathan Peterson and Mike Carlin got along at some point. This is a little speculation. I got just kind of bits and pieces because I knew both of them. I was pretty close with both of them at the time. And Jonathan is a really sweet guy. Like, he wasn't going to really throw anybody under the bus. But what I could piece together is that that I don't know if it was Mike Carlin. I'm not going to, I should just retract that. I don't know really what happened, to be honest. But the powers that be at DC didn't like what Jonathan was doing. And I think they felt that Jonathan was overstepping his boundaries. I'm just going to say that. Jonathan's a really ambitious guy, and he likes working with people, and he likes creating opportunity. Oh my gosh. Like, can you imagine? He's just a great editor, He liked to see people succeed. Like, very few times, like, there's a lot of editors that get their nose bent out of joint. They always are fighting for control. Everything's about control. They don't necessarily care about the talent and creating opportunity for them. Jonathan was not that guy. He loved to see people get jobs. He loved to get good people. He loved to work with them. He loved to create opportunity. And he was creating a franchise. He was creating all kinds of supporting Titans books. He was launching new books. I think somebody said Dark Titans or something. There was like 2 or 3 other Titans titles. Like I said, I think Lynn was going to write one. Louise Simonson was going to write one. And what's his name? Roger Stern, maybe. For some reason, I'm thinking Roger Stern was in that mix. And like I said, Tom Grummett was already working on the Titans book with Al Veit. Oh my gosh, that book looked amazing. The production values were freaking on par with, they were probably better than most. And I think this was still all pre-digital computer coloring. And so the production values on that book were stunning. And so then there were these other books, like I said, the Kerry Gamble book and the Kevin McGuire book, and then my book, and then I think there was somebody else that was coming in. But these were like really great talents, and getting an X-Men artist on the book, in that camp, would be a big coup for DC and for Jonathan, and it will not just me, but anybody that they could have gotten at that time. And that's where Jonathan's eyes were. Like, Jonathan, he understood like what was popular. He understood that they had to be more progressive with character designs. They had to keep introducing new ideas. Like, man, that dude was on fire, and he fired up the entire team to work on it. And I have to say, probably one of the main reasons I took the job was just to hang out with Jonathan. He's just a great guy. And so anyway, I don't know how it happened, but I don't think DC liked that he was doing a lot of this stuff. And I don't know if they thought that it was improper or that he was overstepping his boundaries, like okaying all this stuff and moving forward on things. But they fired him. They fired Jonathan Peterson, and I was like, how the hell do you fire this guy? The sales numbers were going up every month. This was a book on the climb. This franchise was being built, and DC Comics cut it at that moment. They just, boom, they cut it. The thing is, oh man, I'm getting emotional. The thing is, if you have a good person, a good leader that has a vision, it changes everything. I've worked with people that have zero vision. I've worked with people that hire people that have vision and get the hell out of the way. And then I work with Jonathan Peterson, who had a vision. He didn't tell you exactly how to do it. He just manifested opportunity, right? How about this? How about that? And then he just got people in and let them run with it. And he had very little to do with the story that I just told you about the Nightwing miniseries. He was just, I just pitched it to him. So he was a sounding board. He'd give me suggestions, but it wasn't like he was, spoon feeding it or anything like that. So it was an amazing time. That Teen Titans franchise, I think, was definitely on par to compete with X-Men. I still believe it in my heart of hearts that it could have happened. And with what Jonathan was setting up, I believe it could have, because that was just the tip of the iceberg. That was just the start. Everything I told you, that was just the start of where it was going to go. That wasn't even the execution. That wasn't even like a year, 2 years into it. It fell apart pretty fast. And so, yeah, Jonathan was fired, and it broke his heart. He had, years and years over at DC and worked up, like I said, from that little, closet office to full-time, editor and things like that. And yeah, they just fired him. They just fired him just like that. And so I forget who I talked to. I called somebody after John was let go. Was it Terry Cunningham? It was somebody on the, upper up kind of thing. And I talked to her, and she said, because I pitched her, I said, all these things, is still a go? And she said, your Nightwing miniseries is still a go. The Reprogrammer Vision, the trading cards, the licensing stuff that you had pitched, no. And I said, why? She said, Jonathan never had authorization to do those things. And I was like, that doesn't sound like Jonathan. I know Jonathan's an ambitious guy, but he's not ambitious like that. He's not like a petty dude. He's not like a guy that would do that stuff. At least I felt at the time. I don't really know what happened, but that's what she said. She said he overstepped his boundaries, and he wasn't really authorized to make those things happen. And so then I was like, well, then what can we do? And then she's just like, well, you can do this. You can do the miniseries. You can write, pencil, and ink it. And I was like, at the time I was like, Jim had just done the X-Men trading cards. And like, there's all kinds of like extra money to be made and all kinds of like hoopla that you could create around a book. Like the Comicsgate stuff that we're doing now, like Chrono Mechanics has like 15 trading cards, in the campaign. There's patches, there's guitar picks, there's all kinds of cool stuff. And so that was kind of the beginning of those ideas that we could do stuff like that as far as marketing. And it wasn't just a book, we could do trading cards, we could do all kinds of other things. And so I explained all these things to her, and I said, not to be a jerk, but I'm working on the X-Men books. Like, those are the top books in the industry. Why would I leave an X book? I know I'm going to get paid less, even if I had all those bells and whistles, attached. But without those, what would be the incentive? She goes, well, to do the story. And I said, but there would be no extra money in it for me. Other than maybe we could, if the Titans franchise could build, then we could build this energy and this following, and then we could get more people and we could make more money that way. And she goes, well, all of Jonathan's ideas have been nixed. So we're not sure how much of those ideas we're even going to do at this point. So I was like, oh my gosh, you have no idea what you're talking about. This guy spent sleepless nights. He's on the phone with all these talents trying to recruit people. He has this vision. He had people believing in the vision. He had people like me thinking like he could actually compete. I'm not saying it would beat X-Men, but it could compete with X-Men. Grummett and Vey, that was a great team. I think if they were doing an X book, I think, it would have done well. So I think Grummett's kind of like, he's kind of an old school, he's a little bit John Buscema, but it's all there. The storytelling, the drawing, everything's perfect. And then Al was kind of more of a contemporary inker and was bringing a really nice, slick look to what Tom was doing. And oh my gosh, it was a great book. It was a great looking book, man. They were creating new characters. Anyway, the powers that be, I think they got butthurt, man. I think they got butthurt, and they didn't like this young guy having ambition and coming in shaking up DC Comics, and they threw John out. And so John did a series of independent stuff. Like I said, he did Strike Back with Kevin McGuire. Fun book. If you guys can find that on eBay, you should pick it up. And also he did with Aaron Weisenfeld. Oh, it was a gorgeous book. I think it was called Guardian Angel. And that was through Image as well. And that was a really nice looking book as on top of that. And I think he optioned that in Hollywood. Jonathan's like a Hollywood guy now. But he started working after DC. He got that job a few years later with Wildstorm, working with Jim on those books. So, and then he just got disillusioned with comics altogether and went Hollywood. I don't blame him. I just love comic books too much. I can't leave it. I can't leave you guys. What would I do? So, Michael is saying Marvel did the same thing with Shooter. Yeah, I mean, it does happen. It does happen. Oh, cool, Jasper. Cool. I got Chrono Mechanics 2 weeks ago. Awesome. That is good news. Like I said, all the Chrono books have gone out. So yeah, if you don't get the book, give it a couple weeks. And then get back to us, and then we'll give you tracking numbers and we'll look into that. But give us a little bit of time just to make sure, because sometimes the post is a little late on things. Yeah, they had some good talent, and even like who followed George was they had like Jose Luis Garcia Lopez was doing some of the books. Who was the other guy? It was a Brazilian guy or something. He came in, was doing great work. Like they had some really good talent on those Titans books in the day, and that was probably late 80s, early 90s that stuff was happening. I do think, well, when George and Marv Wolfman were doing Titans, I think, I'm not sure, but it may have been outselling X-Men books, or at least it was way up there, because that was on everybody's pool list, Philip, in the day. So I am going to give a quick Chrono Mechanics plug here. It is in demand, and I want to get some eyes on it. I want to get that book into more people's hands because I'm very, very proud of it. And everything's caught up at this point. So if anybody wants to back a book, like I said, those books will go. Eduardo, yes. Oh, that guy was so good. I always thought, man, he was inked good, but I think if he had more of a contemporary inker, like an Alvey or myself or Scott Williams or somebody like that, I think that stuff would have looked amazing. I mean, it did look amazing, but I mean more contemporary, less kind of old school. It still had kind of a little bit of an old school feel, and that's when Jonathan came in, it started visually changing. Designs were changing. The stuff looked a little bit more contemporary, I thought, more of the times. Your link does not go to your campaign. Oh, shitski. Let me see here. I'm going to put it in the chat just so you guys will have it. So here is the Chrono Mechanics link. It's in the description now. If any of my mods, I think I had Pixel there earlier, could throw some Chrono links in there as we go as well, I would greatly appreciate that. That would be awesome. Yeah, that was a weird choice, wasn't it? Claremont was kind of phased out slowly, though. It wasn't abrupt, because I think even when the West Coast guys like Jim Lee, Will Spartaccio, Williams, and myself, I think Claremont was still involved, and even John Byrne, I think, was kind of involved in that stuff. But let's do this. Let's share some Chrono. Some Chrono, going back in time. Yes, here it is, man. Chrono Mechanics Retrofit. They do more before the dawn of time than most people do all day. We are at 50,365, 717 backers. Thank you guys so much for supporting the book the way you have and helping get the word out. And when I get time, man, I really want to revamp the shop and transform it from kind of a campaign mode to a shop mode. So that's kind of the idea. So instead of campaign overview, talk about the shop, and I want to start getting actually like product, like T-shirts, things like that in. But that won't stop you from picking up a book right now. So featured tier, we have the book plus a work in progress art book, which I have it here. All the stuff is printed up, you guys, and all the book tiers come with a trading card. So the main book, the retrofit book, comes with a team trading card, and the well, it doesn't come with a team. It comes with a mechanic trading card, and then the work in progress comes with a Eugene trading card. And so then we have, you can buy the book separate. We still have the poster tier up. The poster tier comes with 2 oversized posters. They're on heavy paper, so it's not like that flimsy poster paper. It's kind of like 11 by 17 print paper. I don't know how to describe it. And then the 4 variants mini prints, which look fantastic. They printed up so well. So even if you have a book, you guys can get the posters, and all that stuff. Like I said, will ship out ASAP. So then we have the variant collection, not poster, but a book collection with the variant covers. So we have Caravaggio, done by Carlo Barberi. We have Doug by Tom Bancroft. We have Cheeks Galloway on Oot, and we have Aaron Lepresti on Zin, the intergalactic deity. And so, yeah, that's a lot of fun. We have the twofer package. We have the ultimate tier. And you guys keep in mind, there are 10 trading cards in the set. You can only get all 10 of them with the ultimate tier. So the ultimate tier comes with 4. It comes with all the trading cards plus 4 extra trading cards. And it comes with the mini print set. So there's 4 mini prints in that set. And then it comes with the book, the work in progress, and then the 4 variant cover books. So it pretty much has everything in it. And so here's some of the interior artwork to give you an idea what it looks like. So if you don't know, they are time repairmen. So that's basically what Chrono Mechanics means. They are time mechanics. And so time literally is a big machine. It's a nuts and bolts clockwork machine that was built in the fabric of the universe at the dawn of time. So it regulates all time and timelines. And so there is a company called Chrono Incorporated that their job is to maintain and repair the big machine. And so they hire diverse individuals to go out and fix the machine. So they're different teams. So all the teams are teams of four mechanics, and they all have kind of their specialty. They can all do everything, but then they have their specialties as well. And so this book focuses on Team 9.2 of Sector 7, and they are the best repair team Chrono Incorporated has. So that's why we focus on these guys. And also they're the most fun. So this is an action-filled time travel, humor book that I don't know, man. I actually love this book. I would like to see it do gangbusters. I want to do another one of these books. Like I said earlier, with some of the sale money of this house, I am going to be able to hire teams. So then hopefully I can work on multiple projects at the same time and then get stuff out to you quicker, because I do have other Chrono Mechanic stories brewing in my head here, and I would like to tell those stories. But just as being a one-man show, it's kind of hard to get things done in a timely fashion, especially multi-projects, which is basically my ambition, is to get to that point. So here is the sketchbook, the work in progress book. It is narrated by Eugene, who is the Chrono Elucidator. He's basically the computer data bank for Chrono Incorporated. So he knows keeps track of all timeline employees, and he is more than just a computer. He likes to think of himself as a human. So he can become a walking, talking hologram. So he can interact with people because he likes to think of himself as a human, even though he's not. But he's probably more human than a lot of the paper pushers at Chrono Incorporated. So here's some of the artwork that's featured in the work in progress book. And then here are not only the mini prints, but the variant cover artwork. So you get to see it in all its glory here in a bigger size. I'm still amazed I got this artwork out of these great talents, man. These guys don't do this stuff very often. Tom does very little comic book work, and Sean Galloway does very little comic book work these days. They're mostly Hollywood guys, animation guys. And then there's Aaron Lopresti, who is a comic book guy. And then there's Carlo Barberi, who was my brother-in on Super Sons. So, man, this thing still, I love this piece of artwork. And I think Perea colored the hell out of this book. And this pinup right here. This thing looks so great. So, yeah, so that's pretty much the campaign here. Is she here?
Yeah.
Okay. So I got to skedaddle. My escrow person's here. I got some more things to sign. So yeah, please come by, check out Chrono Mechanics. It's a great book. I think you'll love it, and it will ship ASAP, you guys. So within a week, I would imagine it will go out. It'll probably go out sooner, but I just don't want to commit to something that may or may not happen. So, I got to enjoy. Oh, cool! You enjoyed Chrono. That's awesome. Is Black and White Indiegogo a reprint of image material or new content? The Black and White is it is kind of a remastering, but most of it is all new content. So it's all been rewritten, and most of it's been redrawn. And there's a lot of new content, a lot of new pages. But you can't get the book. The campaign is closed. It is closed. So Kevin says, great stream art. I think I'm going to end on Kevin's thumb up. So if you guys could, make sure that you are subscribed to this channel if you like what I'm doing. We are being purged again. YouTubers are being purged. My numbers are plummeting. So please make sure that you're still subscribed. And if you know anybody who likes this kind of content, please turn them on to the channel. I would appreciate it. And if you could give me a thumbs up real quick before I check out, that would be awesome. Thank you guys so much for hanging. I hope you had as much fun as I did telling the story. And go check out Thomas Moria, I think, Wizard for Hire, and definitely Chrono Mechanics, you guys. A lot of great Comicsgate books out there just waiting to be read. So take care, you guys. See you soon.